Hi, everyone. You are listening to a new episode of the Midwest Medium Podcast. I am your host, June Hessler. Thank you for joining me and welcome back. This is episode 34. So, if you are new to the podcast, there are 33 other episodes for you to go check out. So, you can listen wherever you download podcasts, or you can watch and listen on my YouTube channel at June Hessler. Today is dedicated to my post-op recovery. So many people who follow this podcast know that it's really about the positive side of the paranormal and the supernatural. Well, we're going to change it up a little bit because I just had surgery, and I think it's an important topic to talk about. And more women need, I think, more voices on the topic of hysterectomies. So that's what we're talking about today. But first of all, by the way, today is post-op day 5. I'm feeling really good. I took a 5-minute walk this morning, my first walk, and I even wore my old grandma slip-on shoes so I didn't have to bend over and tie my laces. I wore my binder for extra support, and I just walked as slow as I needed to. So I went about a half a block for 5 minutes, and it actually felt like the perfect amount of time for my first walk, which feels weird to say because 3 weeks ago I did a 3-mile walk for Angels Among Us Foundation with no problem, but things have changed. So before I get into the surgery, I want to show you guys something. I was recently gifted a Bible that belonged to my great-grandparents. They received it in 1953, and I got it this past weekend. And I just think it is so cool. There's an inscription dedicated to my great-grandparents. There is, I'm going to call this a doily cross. I'm not sure what else to call it. I think it's beautiful, obviously something handmade. And, I honestly haven't had much time to explore this Bible yet because I've been in bed a lot, sleeping. But here's just a little bit of what the inside looks like. And yes, the pages, it does smell like 1953. So I just think that it is so cool and I'm so happy to have this. So I wanted to share that with you. Okay, you guys, surgery. Well, if you follow my work and this podcast, you know that my son Jack was stillborn in 2018 and he catapulted me to mediumship. And so in more recent years, I've been having a lot of pain, which has resulted in weight gain, which I am not pleased about. And I just continued to put it off, put it off, put it off. Oh my gosh, you guys, look what my 5-minute walk did to my skin. Anyway, a lot of pain. And it wasn't until probably the middle of 2023. Yeah, because today's July 1st, 2024. So it was probably about a year ago that I really started to pursue, like, seriously, like, why am I having so much pain? I thought I was having significant lower back problems, and I was a little bit, but I have to tell you, ever since my surgery, my back feels awesome, and I'm barely taking my oxy. I take one every other day, and otherwise I'm managing with Tylenol and ibuprofen, which I'm not even taking that regularly. My back feels really good. So I finally started asking questions, talking to my doctor, who I truly felt wasn't taking me all that seriously. And then spoke with my college roommate, who is a surgeon at Cleveland Clinic, and this is her specialty. And he is the one that really encouraged me to push and advocate for myself more. Now, I'm very good at advocating for other people, I'm not so good about advocating for myself. So this is definitely a big teachable moment for me, if you want to call it that. I learned how to advocate for myself. And I found a great gynecological surgeon near, not too far where I live. And she listened and she ordered tests, and the test results showed, some polyps. Well, showed one polyp and I think three fibroids. And I talked to her about my pain. I talked to her about other symptoms I was having. And both my doctor here, the specialist, and my friend at Cleveland Clinic really both agreed that I probably have adenomyosis. But okay, so what's the remedy for that? You could try hormone therapy, which I'm so not into. I'm not into hormones. Um, there were a couple of other options. One was like removal of the polyp, which my thought is if you're going to get in there and remove something, let's just get in there and remove everything. I don't want to have one surgery and not have it be effective and then need to have another surgery. I'm just kind of like a one and done kind of person sometimes. Um, or a total hysterectomy with the goal of leaving my ovaries. So I ultimately decided to do the hysterectomy. It was not an easy decision. I always hoped that we'd have more kids. But I'm 43 and 43 is not a young spring chicken for having babies. Um, when I had my daughter at age 26, I was very sick at that time too. And I was younger, I was healthier. Um, but pregnancy just, my body's not built for pregnancy. It just isn't. And so, anyway, I decided to do the hysterectomy. And on top of that, I also opted to do bladder sling because of increase of urinary incontinence after a woman has a hysterectomy. So not only was I seeing my gynecological surgeon, I also needed to see, I don't know what kind of doctor he is, but he's a urologist and he's a surgeon. So I'm going to call him a urology surgeon. So sorry guys, my daughter had to talk to me. Um, so urology surgeon, urologist surgeon, whatever that is called, I saw him and talked to him about options to help with the increased urinary incontinence that I would receive after having the hysterectomy. We decided on a bladder sling. So we basically had to line up two different surgeon schedules, which I've learned is somewhat difficult and pushes your surgery out. So, but it was important to be able to do both of these at the same time. And so the day that they gave me was the end of June, and that's the day that I took. So basically, fortunately, I was the first surgery that day for these two doctors. And so we had to get up at 5 a.m., be at the hospital by 6 a.m. And my husband took me. And once they took me back into the pre-op area, everything moved pretty quick. So they take you back there. They make sure, you don't have any jewelry on or deodorant or body lotion, that kind of thing. You change into your gown. Um, I did have to give a urine sample, TMI, because obviously they needed to make sure I wasn't pregnant, which obviously it was negative. And so then a bunch of people start coming in and talking to you. Nurses, surgeons came in, and of course, when I saw my gynecological surgeon, I started crying. So I want you to know that this wasn't an easy decision. Having this hysterectomy, in the weeks leading up to my surgery, I cried probably every day. And it was a very hard decision. It's grieving. Um, the potentiality of having another child. It's a lot of emotions, and I'm assuming that unless you have a uterus, you might not quite understand that. For me, it was very emotional. Um, but I knew it was something that needed to happen for my overall health, for my comfort, my happiness. I mean, so many different reasons why I had this surgery. So when my surgeon came in, of course, I'm crying because it's an emotional time. And um, then my other surgeon came in and we were all in there together with my husband, and the four of us are talking. And then suddenly it was time for my husband and I to say our goodbyes temporarily. And I'm pretty sure it was the gas man, the anesthesiologist. I'm pretty sure he's the guy that wheeled me from my pre-op room to the OR, which I was totally awake for. They didn't even start making me loopy until I was already in the OR. So I saw the OR, I'm going to call it clean and sober, and it was kind of trippy. um, but the second they had me scoot on the OR, I'm not even call it a table. It's some strange looking contraption. I don't know what else to call it, but it's not a table. They had me scoot onto there, so I did that. And then the gas man put the mask on me. And all of a sudden, he's talking to me and he said, "You might start to feel it." And I was like, "Yeah, I like it. I like it." And then I was out. And next thing I know, it's a 3-hour surgery. But the next thing I know, I'm waking up in post-op recovery. So I wish I could say I had some incredible like visions or interesting out of body experience or something, but nada. I was completely out. I don't recall any sort of super cool, supernatural experience, just out and awake. So, um, I woke up in my post-op OR and I really, really felt a really strong need to have to pee, you guys. And it was painful. So I will spare you the details, but I was able to do that and then felt much better. And then asked to do it again. And because I had the bladder sling, this is very common, I'm told. Um, I had the bladder sling, and the more I would do that, the better things would feel. And right now it feels really like normal, and I'm really happy with the bladder sling so far. Um, So I won't show you, but I do have 4 incisions on my tummy. One was in my belly button, and my belly button looks really good. I mean, it looks good. It looks normal. So I'm happy with that. And then I have 2 incisions on both sides of my belly button and another incision on my lower abdomen. So I have 4. And I was eventually wheeled into a different recovery room where my husband could come. And once I met certain criteria, he was allowed to come back and sit with me while I continued to slowly wake up and slowly like understand what was happening around me, give them my pain level, get pain managed before they let us go home. I did not stay the night. Looking back, I'm a little surprised. I do feel that we were kicked out of the hospital in a kind way, but I also remember saying, I really want to go home. So there was no reason to keep me. Surgery went great. So we were allowed to go home. And I remember my husband went and got the car, and the nurse or somebody made have been an orderly was wheeling me out to the car. And there was a car in front of our car. And that is the car I tried to get into. And it was not our car. It was not my husband in the driver's seat. But I was so looped up. That is the car I wanted to get into. And there was a man, another patient, waiting to get into that car. And he said, "No, it's my car." And I said, "Oh." "You know what? Where's my car?" But my husband was right behind them. So anyway, I'm blaming the drugs. I think it was the drugs. So, anyway, I get into the car slowly but surely, and we drive home, which fortunately wasn't far. It was about maybe 8 or 10 miles, and, I remember some bumps in the road not being my friend, but we made it home, and I don't remember much after that. I think I just crawled in the bed, I'm pretty sure. I don't quite remember. Oh, one thing I wanted to tell you. So I did research before my hysterectomy, like, what do I need to have on hand at home? Tylenol, ibuprofen, really comfortable pajamas, uh, different kinds of things a woman should have at home after a hysterectomy, one of which was also a binder. And, I was told that the hospital would send me home with a binder, but last minute, I'm not even kidding, surgery was scheduled for a Wednesday. I think it was Monday. I overnighted a binder from Amazon because I thought, "I want a backup binder in case I don't like the one that they give me." So when we were leaving the hospital, for whatever reason, as looped up as I was, I said, "Where's my binder?" They didn't give me one. And the nurse said, "Oh, they don't have a binder ordered for you. Did you want a binder? They didn't seem to think that you needed one." I'm like, "Yeah, I want a binder. We gotta keep all of this contained. I need support." And so they did give me a binder, but I also had the extra one at home, which I'm really grateful for because that's the one I like better. Hospital one's fine if you don't have a second one on hand, but I decided to spoil myself and I got a second one on hand, and it just turns out to be the one I like best. So, if you are someone who is ever going to have a hysterectomy, just make sure you do have a binder. I think it's really important. There's some days I wear it, there's some days I don't. I went for a 5-minute walk today. I wore my binder. I'm really glad I did, but now I'm not wearing it. So it's kind of here and there I wear it. Um, uh, this is the longest I've sat in a chair since surgery, so I'm a little, like, out of breath and not used to it because 'cause I've been laying down so much the last 5 days. Um, yeah, hysterectomy is major surgery. I have been sleeping a lot. I've been watching a lot of Will& and Grace on my laptop in my bed, and my cat, Eugene, he's really my daughter's cat, and I think she's a little jealous because he's being, like, super lovey and clingy to me, and I swear these animals know when we're hurting. They know when we need some extra love, and he is no exception. He's been so sweet to me. He's been following me everywhere. So, he's been keeping me company. My daughter and husband have been really good about chores around the house, taking care of meals. My husband, the first few nights, was really good about making sure I was getting my proper doses of medicine at the correct times because I had no idea what was going on with my medication. Now I can handle it myself. Um, so I'm really glad that they've been home with me and they've been taking really good care of me. Um, I have received so many messages from you wishing me luck with the surgery, saying that you're praying for me, and I hope you all know how much that means. I've learned the last few years the power of prayer. Well, even before the last few years, there's been times when I've crumbled to my knees and I've prayed and my prayers have been answered. So I truly understand the power of prayer. So I appreciate all of those messages. I don't blow those off. I want you to know how much it means to me. Um, what else did I want to talk about? I said earlier that I feel like this is an important subject matter to discuss. I have a lot of clients that are women. Most of my clients are women. Many of them have had some sort of significant pregnancy loss, or reproductive health issues. And I know this because it comes up in the reading. That's what spirit tells me. And so when I was going through my own journey and trying to figure things out and deciding to have the hysterectomy, That's a big reason why I wanted to share this, because I know so many of you who are watching this episode or listening to it can most likely identify. And I just, there's not enough voices, I think, on the subject of, there's a lot of talk right now about women's reproductive health. I'm talking specifically hysterectomies and what can be done to help alleviate the pain that I've been experiencing. And so that's why I wanted to be public about what I've been going through over the last more than a year, but I've really been taking it seriously for about the last year. Um, I'm I'm sad that it had to come this way. I'm not saying I'm pro hysterectomy. I'm pro advocating for yourself. So I really want to make that clear, make that distinction. For me, it went down the hysterectomy road. I'm not saying everyone in my situation should just go out and get a hysterectomy. I think it's a very hard decision to make. I think it's a very emotional decision to make, especially if you're already a mom and you want more kids, especially if you're not a mom yet and you want kids one day. It is a very serious topic and conversation you need to have with yourself and with God. I've prayed to God a lot about this situation, and it hasn't been easy. So I don't want anyone to be confused or misguided and thinking that this has just been such an easy situation for me and decision, because it hasn't. It's been gut-wrenching. It's been heartbreaking. Um, it's been painful in many ways. But for me in my situation, I felt it was necessary and I wanted to share it. I promised I wouldn't overshare. So there are things I'm not sharing, just some TMI moments. But if you've been through it, you know. Um, but I'm really pleased with my recovery. I am so happy that I took my 5-minute walk today. It felt like the perfect amount of time physically. Like, oh, I wish I could have done more, but I know I'll get there eventually. So today is 5 minutes. And it's early in the day, so I don't know, maybe I'll try 5 minutes again this evening. I don't know. We'll see how I feel. But I'll definitely try 5 minutes again tomorrow. And it's all good, guys. I appreciate your loving messages, your kindness, your compassion, your prayers. They all mean so much to me, and I've no doubt that the prayers have been working. They work, you guys. You have to believe, but they work. So I I feel like there was more I was going to share today, but now I can't remember. And I haven't even taken any of my drugs today, but I seriously still can't remember. I'm a little foggy. So hopefully this isn't a total rambling episode. If you're new to the podcast, there are 33 other episodes to check out. I have great interviews with the woman I go see once a month for Reiki, Janet Allen. She's located in Circle Pines, Minnesota. She's fantastic. Holly Rosa, my massage therapist. Um, don't let her get too popular, because I still want to get in with her once a month. But Holly's fantastic and super awesome. If you've been to our massage and mediumship events, you know how cool she is and how good she is at her massages. I have also conversations with Tony Zabelski recently. He was just on like a week ago, 2 weeks ago, maybe. Super awesome guy. Chicago haunted tour guide, very knowledgeable. Check out that conversation. Dave Schrader, who you know from Holzer Files, Ghost of Devil's Perch, Ghost Adventures. He was on the podcast. Fellow Minnesotan. It was really nice to talk with him. Echo Bodine, world-renowned psychic and healer. She is who I learned laying on hands healing from. She's highly gifted. You can check out my conversation with her. Who else have I had on? I had on sound healer Elizabeth Sorensen, really great, knowledgeable woman. I really enjoy her sound baths. And of course, my spiritual teacher, Oracle Marine, who's also a fellow Minnesotan, but now she's in California, which makes me sad. but I'm hoping she'll be back soon so I can see her in person again soon. Um, she's highly gifted, highly evolved. Um, check out her website if you haven't yet, guys. Check out that conversation if you haven't yet, because that is not something you wanna miss. So, I think I've rambled enough today. Thank you again for your kind words, your prayers. I can't say it enough how much it means to me, and, we'll talk soon, guys.